All right, so we're going to show you today, we're doing a walkthrough on how to create a blog post with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. You can use any one of the models, it doesn't really matter, but there is a process that you want to go through in order to write a good blog post. Now remember, if you're writing a blog post, the purpose behind that blog post is to create credibility for you, and that means you've got to create content that's helpful to your audience. So we want to make sure that we're writing content that's going to be helpful, and that means it's more than one prompt. In fact, it's going to be a bunch of prompts, and I'm going to show you how we go through that today. So settle in, this process does take more than just a few minutes, but you're going to end up with an incredible blog post out of this, and you're going to do it far faster than you could do it if you had to write it all yourself. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to identify the topic, and in this case I'm going to actually go over to a tool called Perplexity. It's a great tool, I love it. You can use the free version or the paid, it does not matter, and let it know that I'm looking for questions. Would help if I type right. There we go. Questions that my audience is asking. And I cannot type it all the day. Here we go. Is asking for blog posts. Asking so I can write some blog posts. Now we need to tell it a little bit about ourselves because it needs to know a little bit. So I'll just do my case. I'm Jonathan. I provide AI coaching and consulting to businesses, nonprofits, and key leaders, as well as team members. So I'm going to give it probably more than I need here, but that's all right. I want to uncover the questions that my audience is asking about AI prompting. So based on that, it's going to go out and do search. Now, why do I use Perplexity? Perplexity is actually a search engine, so it's actually going to go out and find some of these questions. It's going to verify what these are, and then better than Google, it's going to actually give me an answer, as you can see down here. So look at this. I've got 15 questions that I can answer. We're just going to pick one of these to write a blog post about, and that's fine. Let's take a quick look at generate high-quality, accurate results. So this is a good one. Best practices to improve productivity. That's even better, because that's what we're doing right here. How do I writing AI prompts, and in this case a blog post, to improve productivity? So let's go ahead and go back over to Claude, my favorite. You could use again ChatGPT or Gemini, doesn't matter. I do recommend you use Perplexity for your research. You could use others, but Perplexity will get you the best information in my opinion. So I want to write a blog post about, and I'm going to paste in what that is. I need, let's see, my audience, you have to specify who it is individuals and entrepreneurs interested in AI prompting. Please give me an outline for a comprehensive blog post on this topic would be fine. And in this case, I love using my perfect prompt framework. Make sure that the centerpiece of the post, let's say blog post, article, and you can call it either one, blog post or article, is about my perfect prompting framework and how it helps you get the best possible response from AI. And then I need to tell it what that is. Here is my perfect prompting framework. And don't worry if you misspell a little bit, it'll figure that out. I'm going to grab this from my clipboard because I keep this saved. So here's my 4 steps. And then if you know me, I also want to make sure that we say, ask me any clarifying questions. needed. Why? Because maybe I've forgotten to give it some good relevant information. So I want you to take a look. So it has asked me some questions here, and this is good. You want to take the time to ask or answer these. So one, would you like the blog post to focus solely on your or also include other best practices? Other best practices as well. Two, are there any specific benefits or success stories in your framework? So benefits are that a well-constructed prompt with the right details generates the best results. Response, in this case, from the AI. 3. Do you have a preferred length or blog post? So you can choose where you want. In this case, I want to try to be around 2,000 words. And if you've done this, you know this can't just be one prompt, because you'll never get 2,000 words out of just one prompt through ChatGPT, Claude, or any of those. So we'll say 2,000 words or more. Number 4, are there any specific AI tools or platforms? I want to discuss how good prompting works equally well on ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. And 5, would you like to include a section on common mistakes? Yes, I would. So that's my questions. Based upon that, now it's going to go through, and again, you run this, you're going to get different results, but I'm doing this through Claude. You can do it through ChatGPT or Gemini, and we're going to get an outline. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this outline and we're going to move over to a Google Doc. So let's finishing up. I'm just going to go docs.new. We're going to start this new thing over here, and let me get my picture out of the way here. So I can go over to Claude, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy those controls and go right back over to my document. Here we are. Paste that in. So there's my outline. You may go, Jonathan, that's hard to read. Why is it hard to read? Well, it's hard to read right now, one, because I got it small, but two, because the AI models are going to put this out in what's called markdown format. If you want to make this easier to read, go ahead and open another site called markdown-to-html.com, and just go ahead and take that and paste it over. And now you're going to have something that you can build in your Google Doc really easily. If I can get down to that slide here, it's just giving me total fits here. There we go. Not quite. So we got to find out where that went. There it is. All right, we're just going to turn this on. I use a browser called Sidekick. We're just going to turn that on so I can find it. There we go. Untitled document. There we are. All right, so now I'm going to paste this in here, and notice now it's all formatted really nicely. This is exactly what I want. So here's our blog post title. We're in good shape. Mastering AI Prompts, the perfect prompting framework and best practices for enhanced productivity. And then we have our outline. We're just going to make this look a little bit better here so it's easier for us to follow. Notice it's given us some bullet points. Now I know I can hear some of you, even though I'm recording this in advance, I can hear some of you going, Jonathan, but this is too much work. I just want a simple prompt. Yeah, sorry, you're going to get a crappy blog post if you do that. If you want a good blog post, one that's going to build credibility for you, one that's going to add value to your audience, you need to take the time to write a good, comprehensive blog post. And you've got to answer the questions. And doing it this way will really help make sure that we do that effectively. And I'm sorry to say, it's not just a single prompt. It's going to take you a couple minutes. We're going to go through here and we're going to write this blog post. I'm going to even publish it. And you'll see it's going to take us a little bit of time to go through. But we're going to end up with a far, far better prompt or blog post out of that. So just to prove it to you, let's go ahead and take this. So we have this, and I'm going to go over to ChatGPT, not because it's any better or worse than Claude, but let's go just to show you. And I'm going to say, write a comprehensive blog post following this outline. So we're actually going to give it the outline and just see what happens if we try to go ahead and do this. If I paste all that in, what am I going to get? So let's take a look. Now, again, I want to point out, ChatGPT is going to write a blog post for us. It's going to be decent. It's not going to be stellar, but it's going to be decent, and it's going to follow that framework more or less that we laid out And we'll take it here in a minute and watch how that goes. We're going to let it continue to work here. There we go. We got section 2, now we're on to section 3. You guys can see that writing right as we go here. And yes, I am going to let you watch as it creates here because I want you to get a feel for timing, what it takes to do this and do this well. All right, so we've got a ways to go yet. Step D, E. Now we're on to section 5. Now you could leave and let this work in the background, but notice as we're writing this blog post, there's not a lot of context in here. I mean, we've got context, but we don't have a whole lot. Just very short information. So this is going to be, not necessarily a very in-depth blog post. Doesn't mean it couldn't be helpful, but it's not very in-depth. There's not a lot here. Most of these are one sentence, and again, it's probably not going to add a ton of value to your audience at that point. So just for giggles, let's take a look here a minute. We'll call this the ChatGPT 1 prompt. And again, this would be almost the same if we did it in Claude or we did it anywhere else. So I'm not trying to pick on anything here. Oops, I forgot to convert it. Remember, we want to go to Markdown so we can change that. There we go. Go back over to my document. And let's just see here. So tools, word count, what did we end up with? Did pretty good. We got 1,452 words, but I can tell you there's a lot here, and that blog post is just, there's not a lot of meat in this overall. It started off pretty good, and then as you can see as we get down below, it really started simplifying it and getting it really, really simple. So not terrible, and you can run with it, but it's not going to work as well as our model that we're going to talk about here. So what I'm going to do is, and we'll stay in ChatGPT just to keep things interesting. If I can get back to that window, that is, there we go. And I'm going to start a new chat. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading off of that outline. So I've got to go create another document so we've got these stored up right. Let's create a new one, file new, document. I'm going to paste my outline back in here a minute just so that I've got that. So there's my outline. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to start writing this. And I'm going to take just each section. We could even dive in to do more, but let's just do each section. Let's go back into ChatGPT. Actually, I'm going to go to Claude. I like Claude a whole lot better. So now we're going to stay right in the same chat. Say, excellent. Now let's begin writing this article. One section at a time. Why are we doing this? You go, man, that's going to take a long time. Yeah, it's going to take longer. It'll still be a lot faster than doing it the old-fashioned way, and we're going to get a lot better. So start with section 1. And what we're going to do is it's going to go ahead and create this. We're going to go put this in this new document. So this one, let's change this over to Claude and multiple prompts. And we'll throw this title in there just so we've got that in there as well. That way I can find it easily. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this right now because I don't need it at this moment. Let's go back over to Claude and see how we're doing. All right, so it's wrote this first section. You can see a lot more context. That's just the introduction. Now I'm going to go back to that document. Go to my Markdown first so I can format it properly. And again, you could do it in Markdown if you're using WordPress or something like that. You could actually compile this entire article in Markdown and WordPress will read it. But that's all right. So there's the number 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and say continue with section 2. And we're going to continue going through this for each step in the process. And when I look back here on my outline, which I'll do here in a second when it's done, I think if I'm not mistaken, let's take a look on ChatGPT because it did it for us. Let's go back to the ChatGPT. How many sections did we have? We had a total of 11 sections we have to go through. All right, so let's go back to Claude. There we go. There's section 2 done. We're going to go back to our document. Oops, we're going to go Markdown to HTML first to format it. There we go. We're going to go back to our document, and we're going to paste that in. All right, now we're going to go to Claude, continue with section 3. And again, I could pause this video, but I want you guys to see, one, you could never write as fast as this is writing, and we're not done with it yet, but we're going to do this for each section, and we're still going to be able to create an amazing, incredibly comprehensive blog post. And you can see as it's filling these out, it's actually doing a lot more content, which is likely going to make this much, much more readable and much better to use overall. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to follow our same thing. I'm going to tell it, so we're a little faster here, continue with section 4. While it does that, I'm going to go ahead and paste this into my document. So we're pasting in section 3. There we go. Now we'll go back to Claude, and it should be almost done with section 4. It's getting there. It's taking a moment, but there's a lot of context. You can see it's definitely putting in more context than it did when we asked it to write the whole blog post at one time. Definitely getting a better quality thing here. Continue with section 5. So from a workflow perspective, let it go ahead and work in the background while I'm working over here. Nothing wrong with that. That makes your workflow even faster. It'll save you time. Copy that. Let's go back into our Claude. There we go. Go back over to Claude. Let's see how we're doing in section 5. We're coming up. Definitely we can see a lot more content again by writing this section by section. And again, you guys could say, okay, Jonathan, I can continue doing that. Yes, you can. You can follow, but we're not done yet, because when we're done with this, we're going to do some proofreading with AI as well. So don't leave me and think that you've got me there, because we've got another section to go here, or another process to go. We've got to do all 13 sessions here. Going to make you wade with me through the entire thing. I know it's terrible. Oh, can't believe you're making us do this, Jonathan. You can fast forward the video if you want. I'm not going to stop you from doing that, but I think it's important to see each step that we go through, because you're going to understand how it is that we create these amazing blog posts this way. And ultimately, when we're done, this is going to be so much more helpful to your audience. So we're on section 6. We're just about ready to pass the halfway mark. And again, expediency, while I'm moving things around, I will have it continue with section 7. And again, just for those that are joining us late, we're compiling everything into one master document here, because that's going to create our post as opposed to the first one where we just did everything in one prompt. And that one prompt didn't give us near the level of detail that we're getting into when we have it write one section at a time. Next will be, let's see, that we did section, this is section 7, so next will be 8. Do need to keep track of that as you're going through. There we go. I copy that to my clipboard. Now section 8, and remember, because we're staying in the same chat here, it's going to refer back to the outline that it created, so we don't need to go back and forth and remind it of what that is. It's going to know what that is, because we're walking through this step by step in the same chat window. In other words, I haven't started a new chat window, so if I scroll up, I've got all of this other information is way up top, and it knows about it. This is all in the same conversation. But think of it like you're texting a friend and you're going out to figure out where you're going to go for lunch. If you did multiple chats to different phones, they wouldn't be able to keep track. Let's say they had 2 phones. They wouldn't be able to keep track. Or maybe you were going between email and Facebook chat and text message. It'd be very, very confusing. By keeping everything in one conversation, it makes it a lot easier. And so that's exactly what we're doing here. Now section 9. There we go. And again, while it does that, I'm going to go back through and format and paste in here. And I can see it's adding in examples and all that. So I haven't read this yet, but it looks like we're making a good progress. Now we're writing section 9, so next is 10. We're in the home stretch here, folks, as far as the first draft. Now again, once this draft is done, don't skip too far ahead, because we're going to then show you how we're going to use ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini to actually do a proofread on this document and help us with the editing process. Because I know a lot of you, like me, you're ready just to go right now. I want to get this done. I don't want to take the time to do this. Well, again, we want to create helpful content, and so that's going to be critically important that we do that. And we're going to paste this one over. Go back to ChatGPT. We're on section 10. That's cool. We only got 3 more to go. Or was it 1 more? I don't remember, actually. Let's take a look in that document. My memory's bad here. So 10, 11. We have 1 more to go. We're almost done. This is great. All right, so we're going to go back over here. Again, we're in the home stretch. It's laying it out nice and easy. Again, it's doing some simple sentences here, but we're still getting a lot more context overall than we did in the single prompt methodology. Now, the final section. And while it's thinking, we're going to go over here and do our markdown. There we go. We've got that in place. We have 1 more section to go. Going to copy that, and you say, great, we're done. Not quite. We are close, though. So what I want to do now is, actually, we'll do it with the whole article to make it better. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in there. I'm going to grab my conclusion. We're going to paste it down into the document. And our first draft is done. We're going to put this actually draft 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to download this. There we go, as a PDF. But Jonathan, why are we doing that? Well, I want to be able to feed this back into Claude or ChatGPT and have it do that. So it tells me that I'm going to reach my usage limits faster. So we'll go ahead and start a new chat here. That's perfectly fine. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is actually go into a different model. So let's go ahead and go to Gemini for, well, actually, I'm not on advanced there, so I can't do the PDF. Let's go to ChatGPT. There we go. I'm going to upload this document that I just created. I like testing and doing proofreading in a different model than wrote it. I find that way we're getting better proofing. And what I want to do here is write an editing prompt. So you are an expert proofreader and blog editor with a keen understanding of Google's EEAT requirements. If you're not familiar with that from an SEO perspective, these are things that will help us, this blog post, rank better. Please review the attached blog post. We'll call it draft blog post. Draft blog post. And let me know if this article is helpful to people looking to understand more about AI prompting, and if it will build credibility for me following Google's EEAT requirements as the author. So again, we've uploaded the PDF. It's going to go ahead and analyze this now. And again, we want to proofread it. So again, keep in mind, because we're having one model check another model, we can avoid some of the possible favoritism that we may get by thinking it likes everything because it just likes the style. Let's see what it says. So your draft article is well constructed and adheres to Google's EEAT, experience, expertise, authoritative, trustworthy principles effectively. Here's a breakdown based on the security. So it goes through and breaks this down. Overall, this is all positive, but it did make some recommendations. I could add personal anecdotes and case studies to make it better. That'd be great, and I could take the time to do that. That would be definitely worthwhile. I could ensure that all information, especially about AI capabilities, is current, and I can incorporate diagrams, flowcharts, and of course that would be great too. So let's ask it to help us out with this. So, one, are there any references, facts, or statistics that should be verified? Why am I doing this? Well, I don't want to take the time to figure it out, so let's have AI analyze it. And it's coming up with a couple of different things here. So let's say we talk about key areas for reference. AI model descriptions, it provides descriptions of that. It's essentially verify the descriptions are up to date. Pretty sure it will be. I'm not too worried about that. Technological advancements, any claims, that's great. It's telling me what I should check. I want you to find and show me specifics in this article. So it gave me kind of a general guideline. I want it to actually tell me where. So by giving it this prompt, it's actually going to go through. Notice it's telling me it's reading those documents again. And now it should come up with this. So let's see where it is. No, ChatGPT is going to be what ChatGPT is at this case, and it's not doing that. So let's go ahead and say, yeah, it's just not doing what I want. All right. So it happens. Let's go back to Claude. This is why I like Claude better. Let's go ahead and upload this document. And let's say we're going to do the same thing. So you are an expert proofreader and editor with a keen understanding of Google's EEAT guidelines. Please review this article and help me identify any specific claims, statistics, or let's say facts that should be confirmed. There we go. Claude should do a better job of this than ChatGPT. Let's find out. Remember, ChatGPT, as you were watching, just gave us general stuff. And so let's see here what it says. The statement that Claude is known for its strong reasoning capabilities and considerations that should be verified. I know that's true. That's fine. The assertion that Gemini is designed to be multimodal, that's also true. The claim that AI models have knowledge cutoff dates, that's also true. Any statements about specific capabilities or limitations should be, so it's still giving me kind of general. It's not giving me any specifics. So that's kind of frustrating. But that's where we're at. We're going to deal with it. So be it. That means I've got to go back to the article and I've got to take a look at reading it. So the one thing that I haven't done that I want to do is I want to do FAQs. So based on this draft, please create 5 FAQs, questions and answers for this article. And we're going to copy and paste that. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here in ChatGPT, just so you can compare. There we go. And now I'm going to, while it's doing that, I'm going to go back to the article here. I'm going to give you a quick hint. I'm going to just search for percent signs. Why? Well, percent signs are well documented to be related to statistics that it's doing. So if I look for those, I can find things. So what are 3 strategies we could implement in the next quarter to increase our customer rate by 15%? That's fine. That's not a statistic, so we're doing it. Don't assume AI's response is 100% accurate. I don't need to check that. That's great. And what are 3? So we've got, I think, the same thing. There's another one. However, our churn rate, so none of these percentages are stated facts, so I don't need to proof anything there. That's good. While we're doing this, let's just take a look and see where we're at on the word count. Remember, we were at like 1,400? Yeah, wow, look at this, guys. We're at almost 8,000 words here. Now, that may actually be longer than we want to hit, but compare that. 1,500, 1,400 words, almost 7,500 words by just making that difference. Obviously, this is going to be much more in depth. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add back in our FAQs. So here's our FAQs. I'm going to go back into my document. I'm going to go down towards the bottom. I like to put these personally right before the conclusion, but that's just my personal preference. There it was. I saw it. There we are. So we're going to change this to XII, and we're then going to do XI FAQs. And we're going to paste that in. So there's our FAQs. Super simple. We'll want to take a look at that. I don't want this. Certainly there are, so we'll just get rid of that. What is the perfect prompt framework? I've got that. How do I improve AI generated responses? What are some common mistakes? So overall, this is good. This is a good start. And I'm going to get rid of that because I don't really want that in there. So now that we've got that in place, I'm going to make a PDF one more time. We're going to download that. Let's go back into Claude. Let's compare just real quick and see what did ChatGPT give us. Not bad, different types of things, but it's certainly, these are decent questions that are related again to the article that we could use. Even brought some of those same ones in, so not a big deal there. We could use either one. Now I'm going to go back in. I'm going to start a brand new chat again just to make everybody happy as far as the AI models. We're going to upload our new PDF. Part of the reason I want to do the new one is I want a new chat is I want to make sure it's not using the old one. And now what I want to do is I want to say, please review this article and write a key takeaway section. For this article. And the reason I want to do that is I want to make sure that we've got everything set up and that at the beginning of the article, right after the introduction, I can put in the key takeaways. That way when people are reading the article, they start getting into it and they look at it and they go, man, is this something I want to read or not? They can take a look at these key takeaways and determine, is this an article I want to spend more time on? This helps you increase your time on page. Also, it will increase engagement overall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to paste that in. Whoa, it's not what I wanted. Let's make sure we're not on heading 2. We'll do normal text. There we go. And we'll make this a H2 just for formatting purposes. There we go. And just like that, I've got my article. So our introduction, my key takeaways, the power of effective prompting, the landscape, introducing the perfect prompting framework, understanding AI language models, differentials, all of this stuff is being done. Great overall article. Obviously, we need to proof it yet. We've not done that, and I'm not going to make you do the time to do that. We're almost 30 minutes on this call, so I don't want to, or this video, so I don't want to go ahead and do that now. But you do want to proof this before you post it. Make sure it's good. Although, having gone through it, we're going to be pretty close. I mean, this is going to be pretty much ready to rock and roll. Now what we really need to do is just get some graphics to put in, and we're going to have a great blog post. I'm going to go ahead and get this video posted, and then I'm going to go ahead and proofread this article. Then we're going to go ahead and post it on my blog, and I'll put a link to that as well in the video comments or description so you can see what this ultimately ends up looking like. I'd love your feedback. Go ahead and read this. Let me know if you think it's effective. There's some other things we could do on this, like we could put in our own personality and tone as part of my self-scribe process. If you're familiar with that, that's a tool that we can use to find your personality, have AI sound more like you. But for right now, this is how I encourage you to write a blog post. Yes, it took us about 30 minutes to write this blog post, but how long would have it taken you to write an 8,000 word blog post a year ago? Or maybe yesterday if you hadn't seen this video. AI can help you do it, and make sure that we're meeting Google's guidelines, providing helpful content, and establishing your credibility. Go have fun, write some more blog posts with AI, create that helpful content, and we'll see you on the next video.